Yes, people, what's going on? You're here with myself, Guni, and I've got my special guest with me today, Carefree Lewis. How you doing, my bro?
I'm good. I'm good. No Chelsea over the last week and a half. I feel stress-free for the first time in ages. I'm good. I feel good,
Yeah,
man. What are you telling
facts,
me?
facts. Obviously, World Cup season surpassed people's expectation. Actually, in fact, we haven't even spoken about anything to do with the World Cup. So I think, obviously, given this that time, we might have to talk about that a little bit. We're going to start off with the obvious. The England performance, obviously, we got the emphatic 3-0 against Wales that sent us through top of the group as well. How are you feeling so far from what you've seen?
From an England perspective, it's like I guess we're through, but we made it a lot harder than we needed to. And I look at more at Southgate than I do the players. Obviously, like I think we could have expected a little bit more from the midfield, but I think it's an England thing to just overhype everything from the squads to players to performances. And the midfield's good, but they're not great. The attack is good, but doesn't really get fed as much as it should. But they still had a very good second half against Wales. They had a good performance against Iran. Obviously, we expect a lot more from the performance against the US with how much that game was hyped going into it. It was an absolute snooze fest, and it was because England set up defensively as well. But that's what happens when you've got Southgate as manager. So I don't expect too much from England. The whole World Cup tournament for me is just vibes. I've been so stressed following Chelsea. I'm not picking a country. I'm just enjoying football for the sake of it. So I'm cool with the way England have moved. I don't expect them to get further than the quarterfinals. I think we're going to get France once we reach that period. And yeah, I'm just chilling. Give it to either Belgium or someone with a Chelsea player in it, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I hear you. My expectations are never really we're going into these competitions to win them, bruv, because we've been disappointed for so long. I've seen England in quite a few competitions. Never have I been satisfied. I mean, we ain't won nothing since 1966. But
Hmm.
you see what it is, yeah, is obviously this crop of players, and I'm also including the injuries that were not able to make the tournament. I feel like this is one of our best chances of winning anything. And I think, some people have said, oh, what about the Lampard, Gerrard era and all that? Yeah, that was a generational golden era. But what they didn't have was balance. They didn't have no
Hmm.
balance. We have that balance in that midfield. Now, I got to talk about Declan Rice quickly before we move on to the Chelsea transfer talk. And one thing I'm concerned about him in this England lineup is that he's wanting to get forward a little bit too much for my liking, which is, in my opinion, that can stifle the well. He doesn't play the two eights, but he's part of the pivot. But the other two that do the job better, they're going to be handicapped from him doing that too much. And I feel against the USA, we saw a little bit of that. Being scared to come and show for the ball, being caught too high up the pitch. We was actually lucky to come away with a point in that game, if we're being completely
Hmm.
honest. Do you know what I mean? So it's those little things that concern me. And then on top of that, in the later stages, like you said, we're going to face a top quality team, one of the favorites. And we're going to have to if we're going to win this competition. Southgate's a coward, bruv.
And this is my
Get me?
problem. Like, I looked at that Iran game and I said, that was cool and everything, but that still didn't stand out to me for anything. Same energy as you. I wanted to see England against a better team, like a top, one of the best clubs in countries in the world. And then we got dominated by the US's midfield. And like, the US is a good team. This ain't to turn our noses up on them or anything, but I wanted a world class midfield to test against them, and it was McKennie and Adams. They're not world class; they're good,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
good. You can even say very good to an extent, but they're not at that level. And if you're getting dominated by that, yeah, let's not overhype England performances too much. The Rice thing you said, like I completely agree, does go forward a little bit too much, but I feel like that's more of his profile. Everyone acts like he's a sitting DM. He's not. He's more of the box to box role,
It's
and
true.
that's way more apparent at West Ham. But that's why I was always saying when we're looking for Declan Rice, if you want to bring him into Chelsea, we're not going to bring him in as a lone DM. He's not a DM. He is a box to box player. Like that's what I remember. This big debate was Rice to bring in to replace Jorginho. I've always said if you bring in Rice, I'm playing him with Jorginho because Jorginho would sit. Rice isn't really going to sit. He's capable of it, but he prefers to roam. He prefers to drive with the ball. So to me, he's more of a Kovacic or a Kante replacement if you're looking for that. Still not anything against the player. Like, I know we're linked with him. We're going to be linked with him again this summer. His price tag has gone significantly down. We're looking at 70 million. That's fine by me. My problem was only the price tag. Now it's gone down to 70 mil. Bring him in. And I'm fine with that because we need so much reinforcement already in that midfield. And he would be a great addition to the squad.
No, facts, 100%. And
Big
well, it's a good time to get onto the transfers. But before we do that, I just need to ask you, how far do you think? I know you answered this, but just one more time for the peoples. How far you reckon England are going to get in this World Cup?
Yeah, if we're lucky, we'll get to the quarterfinals. I don't expect to get any further than that. Maybe Southgate pragmatism could push us a little bit further because it does make us hard to break down at times, but I just don't see the sustainability in England's football to take them all the way to a World Cup final, let alone win it. So I'd say quarters.
No, absolutely, and I have to agree. Now, ironically, if we had a certain Graham Potter in charge of England, I probably would have pushed a little further than that, and I think we would have seen a lot better football than what we're seeing. But obviously, he's at our club now, and that's the topic that we're going to move on to: international football. We're going to put that behind us for a second. That's all we've been hearing, and you know, as good as it is not to be watching Chelsea because of the performances that we've been putting in, I still miss my club. I still miss club football, Premier League football. And, you know, the fact that January's around the corner is actually exciting me. Do you know what I mean? So transfers, obviously, we've seen some stories today. The main one being, I'm going to start off with Andrey Santos because I'm not going to go on too much about him because I don't know too much about this player. I'm sure you probably don't either. This is one that just came out of absolutely nowhere the other day. But Andrey Santos, you know, YouTube doesn't really give you the full picture of a player. But what you can see, certain things is like, how's the touch? Like sometimes you can see things like position, especially like in the central midfield. There's certain little aspects that you look at. I'm not going to get too carried away with this one because apparently he is in the second division of the Brazilian football. He's not in the top league. So
he's not. Okay.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I'm hearing. But when you look at him play, there's no doubt that there's some talent in there in terms of like what I've seen from the few YouTube videos that I've seen people. Like I said, I haven't seen this guy play. I've just watched like several different videos on YouTube, and the common theme that I'm getting from it: very comfortable on the ball, very quick, excellent going forward, good dribbler, excellent defensively as well. So basically, he looks like potentially he could be a full package. So whatever we choose to develop him into that central midfield, I think he'd do quite a good job. Have you seen much of him since the links?
I haven't watched him, but I've like researched about him, and from the looks of it, he's like a box-to-box midfielder, very comfortable on the ball. Not the most flashy passing, but very simplistic. Does help to build up play. Has been used as a lone DM, but again is more of a box-to-box player with a little bit of creativity, but he wouldn't be used as a main creative outlet. But again, it really feels like one of those transfers that we're looking at for the future, like a Zaharian, for example, or like an Endrick. I don't think he's someone who goes straight into the first team, especially now you're saying that he's not even playing in the first team.
Hold on. I've got to correct myself there. That is actually a mistake. I got Vasco confused with another team. They are still actually in the Primera Division, so they are in the top divisions. Thank you very much, Scroll, the director. I had to go and double check that because even in the back of my mind, I was thinking, am I sure I got the right team here? But thanks for the correction. He is actually performing in the top division. So that's only an extra point. Do you know what I mean? That kind of changes things a little bit.
Potentially, but like, I still don't know if it's a signing that immediately goes into the first team. If it's one maybe we develop, put out on loan, like the common feature I've seen of a lot of players that we're being linked with is that they're just players that we could potentially be developing and sending out on loan and looking to either sell for a profit or potentially bring into the first team. I don't think this is someone who's going to come in and immediately change things for us. Big up Flawless as well. Big up, bro.
Yeah, I see Flawless in the building as well, man. Big up yourself,
Come on, bro.
Flawless.
Every time.
Do you know what? I've been saying this several times, and I need to just stop talking. I've got to get you on my channel, bruv, and we got to do it this week. Let's try and get something done this week, bruv. I'm tired of just talking and saying, yeah, we're gonna do this, and then it just goes into nothing. I've got to get Flawless on the channel. I've said it.
Man.
Yeah, I've said it officially on the channel. So hit me up in the DMs, Flawless, and we'll get this one cracking, bruv. Love your content as well,
Come
bruv.
on.
Like I said, this brother gives me bare jokes. Anytime it's him and Hussam on the screen, bruv, I'm always busting up laughing.
Trust me, man. That's my brother from another mother. Big up yourself.
Big up both. Yeah, big up both of them, Hussam as well. But yeah, quite rightly, like you said, my bro, he's a young player, 18 years old, I believe he is. So that is not an immediate first teamer. We might see him get integrated into, well, naturally we will, coming straight from a country like Brazil. I believe he can move in January as well, since he is 18 years old. Legally, he can make that move. So if he comes in January, he's going to need to climatize to the country. So playing youth football, we're going to see how he develops there. So looks like another one for the future. Let's see how that one works. But let's move on to another target, and that is Ismael Bennacer of AC Milan. Central midfielder, can actually play the CDM role, although it blatantly doesn't look like that's his primary role. Does get a bit more advanced than you would like a CDM to, but he looks like a very, very technical player. Looks, he's an upgrade on what we've got in the midfield, but I don't know how I feel about this one, Lewis. I'm not gonna lie.
If we're basing it off the Milan games we had, then I could understand that. But for me, like, I can't judge it because the AC Milan side was injury prone as hell. And as a player, from what I've seen, from what I've read, feels like a Jorginho replacement right there. Like someone who dictates the tempo of the game, controls possession, recycles it, and tries to start to build up play. But he's a lot more mobile. He's a lot more technical on the ball. He can beat players and push himself a bit further forward if he needs to. But it's not like the sort of player where he roams forward too much. He's a lot more intelligent in his positioning. So for me, like I saw the links in the summer as well. I was very interested in bringing in the player. I still feel the same, even inspired the Milan performances, because that was again in that fugazi run of wins where we were playing well, but like there's asterisks on like nearly every single performance. I think Bennacer is a good move for us. I'd go in for him if I was in charge.
I mean, some people that I've spoken to have said, they're worried about his size. He's a very small guy, but I don't believe necessarily size should be going against you. I felt that it kind of did in Billy Gilmore's case as well. Obviously, we didn't officially get the news, but technically the boy could play. I reckon he could have earned a spot at Chelsea and we could have used him 100%. But in the back of my mind, I have a feeling they were looking at this guy's size and thought maybe it's a bit of a risk that we don't want to take. Bennacer is quite small as well.
I'm not sure how physical he is though, because that would make it for me. Because Kante's small, but he's very physical and he wins a lot of aerial battles.
Yeah, at least with Kante though, he is a small guy, but you can see he's got some size about him, bruv. He's a solid dude. You can't knock him off the ball. Bennacer, he might be the same. I just haven't seen enough of him to say but from what I have seen of him, like he's not really a standout player. Now, if you were telling me, we were going for 2 midfielders or whatever that were going to be starting ahead of him, and he was squad depth, all day long, I'm taking him. All day long, I'm taking him. But week in, week out, I'm not sure. We are linked with several other players. Todd Boehly, from what we hear, is trying to be ambitious yet again. So fair play if he does pull them off. But I'm very skeptical about Jude Bellingham, although whether we like it or not, we are in the race. I wouldn't mind him at the club, but I
wouldn't mind. I just don't like this idea that we're just going to match any bid that goes in for him. I don't want to be spending over 100 mil. It's the same energy as Rice for me. That's why I can't even believe I'm saying it. Rice is the better option. I'd rather take Rice in.
You see, and watch this, Lewis, yeah? You see, for me, this owner as well, I think he's got a bit of an ego. And I tried to avoid using that because I felt like, obviously, with the Americans, it's a bit of a trigger word that a lot of people use, but I've given it time. And we've seen him, like, he can be quite knee-jerk in terms of if he wants something, he will go for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, me personally, I'll be real with you. I don't even think I've said this on stream. I wouldn't care if we didn't sign Bellingham. Not because he's a bad player. Absolutely not. I think he's a really good player. Is he world class? No. Can he get there? Yeah, but he can under the right, club or whatever, he can develop there. But me personally, it's Enzo Fernandez for me, bro, and the CDM.
Enzo Fernandez is more the finished product, and I think for Chelsea, that's what we're looking for. Bellingham's good. Again, he needs to adjust as soon as he gets in here because it's a completely different league. He's also a lot younger. He's a lot further behind in his development. I don't think it's the right move for us. It might be the right move for Bellingham because it guarantees him first team football. He walks straight into the team. But in terms of what Chelsea need, like for 150 million, you could revamp that entire midfield by itself.
Easy.
And that's the biggest problem for us. Bellingham should come in once the midfield is done, not while we're trying to rebuild it. Right now, our biggest problem is that we didn't even touch it. That's been our biggest issue this summer. Now, bringing in a 130 million replacement when we need more than just one player in, to me, it just isn't the answer.
I mean, look, Enzo Fernandez, we're seeing the reports, he's available for between, I think it's 60 and 80 million euros. I think for the potential that you're buying there, I would definitely take the gamble. I think he looks like a serious talent. Also, as well, CDM options. You've got Romeo Lavia as well. Although he's young, he has had first-team football in the Premier League. He does look like he could develop into a serious talent. And most importantly, is naturally a CDM as well. So there's also that option. There was another option that we was also linked with as well. Oh, Casiado, obviously, from Brighton. That's another one. But let me ask you about that. Does he look like a natural CDM to you? Because to me, he looks like... I mean, it looks like he can do the role, but I think he likes to push forward a little bit more than that I'd like.
I'm not too sure. I'm going to be real with you. I saw him push up a little bit more when we played him, but other than that, I haven't really watched as much of Brighton. All I've seen from him is comps, and he fits the profile, but
100, yeah.
You have to watch him in a full 90-minute game to judge whether he prefers to just sit or whether he likes to move forwards. I can't really tell you that.
No, facts. Well, now, Flawless, they're saying that Declan Rice is going to be 70 million. And
I'll take that. I'll be real. I'll take that.
Well, here's the thing. Apparently, there's 2 other Premier League clubs that's ahead of us in terms of trying to sign Declan Rice. And the way things are going for us, bro, like, we can't guarantee we're getting any Champions League football. Now,
I hear that, but to me, I didn't spend 2 years hearing this fan base rim his arse. I didn't spend 2 years hearing this guy bring up Chelsea's name in literally every interview to the point where it was unbearable. For him to go to another club, like, I don't care who else is linked with him. If he's proper Chelsea, like everyone's tried to feed into me with this propaganda and everything, that shouldn't even be a factor. He should just be waiting for Chelsea. So to me, if he goes to any other club, everybody who has been chatting about him for the last 2 years, you lot are in the mud. Because he ain't as proper Chelsea as everyone has made him out to be. So, I don't care. It shouldn't mean anything. I know Liverpool need him. They need a midfielder.
Yeah.
He'd be a good Partey or Xhaka replacement or number 2 for Arsenal as well. Maybe United could do with a midfielder too, but he's meant to be proper Chelsea. So that shouldn't matter.
That's the only thing that I'm really leaning on, bruv. The fact that he is, quote unquote, this proper Chelsea guy that wants a reunion with Mason Mount and the boys, a remontada kind of thing in the seniors, bruv. I'm all for it. Let's see what happens. But boy, if he does go to Liverpool or one of them clubs, it just massively, like you said, first of all, I'm going to be honest, I'm putting myself in that category. I will be mudded as well. But
so you as well?
Yeah, bro. Come on. I tell it as it is. I've wanted Declan Rice. I've thrown up the prop. I've wanted him at the club. So if he goes elsewhere, I'm also with the mud. But it does disprove a huge narrative that, whether you support a club, even if you've grown up through their academy, money.
Just like his mate who's asking for 300k a week from this club for no reason. But we move.
Yeah, oi, bruv. Before we let's talk about that, but I have to add a Johnny disclaimer. Don't cut my flipping head off, Johnny. It's just a game of opinions, my bro.
He's chopped my head off enough times. He knows it's all love anyway.
I know, but
there's no way that bozo should be getting 300k a week. He's lucky to even get half that. Like, I don't get the nerve, the absolute nerve. You have 2 goals and assists this whole season, and you think you deserved 300k a week for what? For what? Because he can get to that level. Play at that level then. Reece James did it, and he got 250k like that. Why do you think Mount ain't getting that? Because you don't deserve it. Don't hold the club up to ransom for it then. If you want that and you want to go to Liverpool for 300k, go. Go so we can finally put this BS proper Chelsea narrative to bed, because he's here because Chelsea built him up, but he ain't proper Chelsea. He's already said it. Let's not act like it. And the fact that he's holding this club up for 300k a week when he could easily just get a 1 or 2 year extension with a small pay rise, prove your worth, and then go back in for 300k a week, says it all. It's all about the money. Simple as that.
Hey, bruv. Listen, I've given my thoughts on Declan Rice and not Declan Rice, Mason Mount. And basically what I've said is, because there seems to be extremes with him. There's a side that says, let Mason Mount go for free. I don't care. Get him out of the club. He's nowhere near good enough. And then you've got the other side that says, give this guy 300k a week. Give him whatever he wants. Blah, blah, blah. He's this elite superstar that is going to rule the world for the next however many years he's going to play football, bro. See me, I'm in the middle, where I'm like, if he stays, cool. I'm not against him staying at all. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he's a terrible player. But at the same time, I do not think he's an elite player. He has not shown me on a consistent basis that he is playing at an elite level week in, week out. The only one player in this team that has showed me that is Reece James. More times out of 10, when he touches pitch, it's an elite performance. And if I'm lying, please let me know, Lewis, and please let me know in the comments.
That is true. And when Mount drops off the pitch, what happens to us? We have our best attacking performance against Salzburg. It's as simple as that. Like, I agree with everything and people think I'm on the Mount hater narrative as well. And I'm not on there. I call everything how I see it. I think Mount would be a great squad player for us. I think he deserves squad level wages because right now he's playing at the level of a squad player. Mason Mount in 2021 deserved Player of the Year, deserved all of that. He was probably one of our most vital players in the run to winning the Champions League, and he deserves every single accolade that comes with that. He has not been at that level ever since. Last season, he salvaged it with goals and assists and how crap everybody else looked around him. This season, he's not getting the goals and assists. He just looks like a road runner that disappears and has barely any influence in games. Call it as you see it. Mason Mount is not playing well enough, and it's now that he wants to come in and hold the club to ransom for 300k a week? Are you kidding? This is his worst season in a Chelsea shirt. And people are saying he deserves it because of stuff he did a year ago. I always say this point. If you're a chef, for example, and you made this banging steak a year ago, everybody liked it. You won multiple awards based on it. But every steak you've made afterwards has been shit and inconsistent. Some have been good, most have been crap. Are you going to go to that guy just because he made a banging one a year ago? No, it's about what you do now. And football is a what have you done for me now sport, not what you've done for me a year or two ago, which is why I don't like hearing this Champions League excuse. Mount has not played well enough to deserve even half of what he's asking for, let alone 300k a week.
Nah, and do you know what I will agree with is that loyalty tax will kill you in football. And you have to be ruthless to be successful. And this is the thing, is we had the epitome of that. As our last owner, he was the one that really came into football and made things that way, arguably. Do you know what I mean? But big up, Mike. Thank you for the super chat, my bro. There's not an ounce of truth in what Lewis is saying.
Mike, tell me what I've said that's wrong. Put it in the comments section. Tell me what I've said is wrong and what you disagree with, because you can't say that without telling me what is wrong, what I should be saying. So let me know. Educate me, my friend. Nothing bad, nothing negative. Just educate me.
I mean, I can't fully disagree with you on what you've said. Like my sticking point here is the 300k that's being asked. That's my sticking point. Yeah, and on top of that, and you know what? To be fair, Mike, fair play. To be fair, it has come out that it's not entirely about money with Mace. It's several other things outside of the contract. Like, for example, he's worried about his development at the club because he's been playing in several positions. Apparently, he wants to hold down that number 8 position and play there more consistently. That's also part of the
That I
reason.
agree with. That's
And
fair, and I completely get that. But all we've heard as well is that Mount's rejected a 7-year, 200k a week deal. And even anything, like, I'm looking at Chelsea finally, like, what the fuck have you offered that? Why have you offered, like, I get he's on like 70k or something. Give him a pay rise.
Yeah,
I am
100%.
fine with that. He can have a pay rise. 200 to 300k for 7 years is saying that we are going to build the team around him for 7 years. And he is not at that level. If you give him 300k a week for 7 years and he doesn't develop, every midfielder and every forward that we try to sign is going to look at Mason Mount and say, I can offer you more than him. I am better than him. I deserve more than him. It's the same thing Sterling and Lukaku did with Werner's wage, because it was ridiculous when we gave him that amount too. That's why I don't want him to get near that. Like, I don't mind him re-signing. I don't want him sold. I want him to pattern up. I want him to play better because we know what he's at. I was praising Mount for the last 2 years. I'm not praising Mount this season because he's playing like crap consistently. And he's consistently starting. That's also why he gets so much energy. The players who play the most will get the most energy. That's why it goes to the likes of Jorginho. It goes to the likes of Mount. It goes to the likes of Havertz, the likes of Mendy, because they're the ones that play the most. It's as simple as that.
No, 100%. And do you know what as well? I think that's got to be a plus that goes with Mace, is that the fact that he is available as well. We got to have it right. But in terms of, several people are saying that the 300k is quite wide off the mark. Now,
good, thank God.
Now, for me, if you're talking some of my business, because the way I see it as well is, look, if we're in Mason Mount's shoes, it's your right as a human being to negotiate what you think your worth is. If you think you're worth whatever amount of money, fair play, go for it. Yeah. But don't complain if somebody don't want to give it to you, and make sure you can find that elsewhere. That should be what the rule is. But you see, I think for Mace, a 150, 175 plus incentives, I think that would be the fair way to go.
I mean, we have Havertz and Kepa on 150 a week. I wouldn't say anything if Mount wanted those wages. I'd understand. I'd even understand if he pushed a little bit more than that. I think Mount's better than the pair of them. But he's not playing at a level to demand anything. Like, right now, I wouldn't even be offering contract negotiations with him too tough. I'd be like, focus on your performances. Perform better, and then let's have contract talks. Because, again, he is meant to be proper Chelsea. So we shouldn't be worrying about him potentially going to other clubs. Focus on the pitch. Focus on improving your game. As well, like, Chelsea need to play him in his best position as well. I completely agree with him on that. Mm-hmm. But he has also been in the 10 position for how long? We've also been told he's been creative for how long? But I also think as well, like, the more you deep it, it's this whole Stan argument over Mount. That's the issue as well. You were right. There's two different extremes. People act like he's the biggest bum in our squad, and people act like he's the second coming of Frank Lampard. You're both wrong. Just let him be a young player developing. It's as simple as that.
Lewis, yeah, brother, you are telling the full truth. Because listen, yeah, it comes like, if you step in, if you're in the middle, right, like where we are,
yeah,
we're trying to say, listen, he's not a shit player, but he's not a world beater. Yeah, maybe he can become that, but give him his time and call it what it is. But if you have that opinion, it's like you hate him and you've got an agenda and you want him out of the club. All of a sudden, all of this comes out, and it's just like, yo.
I don't get it, because you can criticize any player and it's fine. You can criticize literally anybody. But when it comes to Mason Mount, you're not a supporter if you don't back him for his bad run of form. The PR on Mason Mount's name is utterly ridiculous, and it's infuriating, and it only adds more stick to his name. Stop propping somebody who plays like crap. Acknowledge that he's playing like crap, acknowledge that he needs to play better, and we can acknowledge that he has played better in the past too. Nobody is saying that he hasn't. That's half the reason why he's getting so much stick, because people know what he's capable of, and he's not showing it. The mentality looks like it's dropping, And it's also because of the PR rocket that is strapped up his arse every time he has a bad game. Or whenever he does the bare minimum. The bare minimum. Like, he makes a nice turn, gets an assist, gets a goal. Suddenly it's, Mason Mount has mudded everyone because he's done well for once. No. Show some consistency. Be consistent. And who would criticize? Who would criticize somebody who is playing well? Like, I say the same thing with Havertz because everyone thinks I have this mad Havertz agenda. If Havertz played well, I praise him. Sorry, he's done nothing but vindicate me all season. But he's been playing like crap. Simple as that. Same thing with Mount.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it is, man. Look, there's certain performances that are unacceptable, whether they're your favorites or not. Like, first of all, just accept a lot of us just have an opinion, like all of you guys. And there's nothing wrong with having an opinion. Whether it's right or wrong, it's an opinion. Do you know what I mean? So, exactly. I've got to agree. But let's move on from Money Mace. We're going to move on from Mason Mount. Obviously, we've got to keep an eye on things there. We've just spoken about Bennacer. And also for the guy that was asking about Andrey Santos, we spoke about him previously. So just go back in this live and you hear what we said about him. Josko Gvardiol, obviously we've got Christopher Nkunku. It's looking like we've got that one over the line, the worst kept secret in football. Exciting attacker, very excited to see what he can do at Stamford Bridge. But there comes a huge disclaimer with that, because I do believe under the current circumstances, he will be walking into, he will suffer like Aubameyang, like Lukaku, like whatever attacker that we've had in this Chelsea team over the past several years. I strongly believe that he will struggle like the rest of them. But in terms of that profile of player, are you happy with that signing? We're going to start off with Nkunku first before we move on to Gvardiol. So are you happy with that one?
I mean, it improves us, but again, we're not really getting anywhere without a creator. I don't think it's a sort of Havertz or Werner type signing. I do think he needs to adapt like everybody else from the Bundesliga does, but I think we should learn from the likes of Havertz and Werner and just don't overhype too much. Like, Nkunku's a great player. I think he's definitely better than the likes of Havertz and Werner are, but he needs time to adjust, and he's also going to struggle in the middle of a giant rebuild. The number one thing we need is a creator. We don't have creativity. The likes of Aubameyang and Lukaku have suffered because they have the likes of Havertz and Mount behind them who just don't feed them the ball quickly enough. Like I use Aubameyang, for example. If Aubameyang got two very simple cutbacks from Kai Havertz in the first 15 minutes, we beat Arsenal. Like, it's not a question of doubt. Facts. The more I look at that game, I'm annoyed at it because Arsenal made nothing clear cut, and their goal came from a BS corner that Havertz couldn't even kick out. Like, it was a winnable game, but it's because we don't show any creativity in the key moments, and it happens all the time. That has to be the number one thing we address. And Nkunku is a great addition to the squad, but if we don't bring in consistent midfielders and creators in the summer, it's just the same old crap.
And this point is very true. You know, the ultimate form of creation comes from the collective, not just the individual. Our collective is unbalanced. That is very true. Nothing changes until that's fixed. And I think that's been I think we've seen that several times as well. Go on.
I kind of agree. But when you consistently see players get in the right positions and you see attackers making runs and it's just clearly ignored, it is also a problem with the individual. Like, I think Jorginho, Kovacic, N'Golo, Ruben, Havertz, Mount are all culpable when it comes to just ignoring runners. Like, I know Lukaku's a rat. He's a dickhead. I get it. Like, I'll never prop this guy for anything. But the one thing I will say is I watched him consistently make runs when the ball was in the midfield and consistently get ignored. The same thing.
Add Timo. Yeah, I was gonna say add Timo Werner to that list as well, because he had these shockers, but at the same time he suffered because of a squad problem as well. So no, you're right, and I actually did like that comment as well from Mike. But just so I can read this out, because I've seen Pyrex King put it in the thing a couple of times.
Guni question from Lewis. My bad, bro.
When he cut Mount some slack because he's been played out of position. And please unblock me, G.
Yeah, so I'll get to that, bro. My bad. But on cutting out some slack, like, let Mount play well. Like, I keep saying it. Everyone acts like these football players are their brothers or they know them or something. No, they're like, these players don't know you. They don't know me. So I don't care. Like, the fact is, this is just a job to them. All they care about is their paycheck. So I shall look at them as employees. If you don't do your job, you'd get fired. But you're not going to get fired. So you get criticized. It is what it is. Mount played well once upon a time. Now Mount is playing like crap. If you play poorly, you will be criticized. There should be no hiding. Why do players get taxed because they did well in the past? No, they didn't. I used to gun for Eden Hazard at a certain point because he wasn't performing well over a period of time. Anyone can get it.
Yeah,
I've been
facts.
going at Kante for the last 3 years saying
Facts.
that he's
Yeah,
on a
it's nothing
decline.
personal. Yeah, it's a nothing
Exactly. It's
personal
nothing
thing.
personal. It is what it is. Just get good.
Yeah, Kante is one of my favorite players as well, and I've criticized him several times. So it's about the club. It's about Chelsea.
Right, I was an AC stan, and by the Arsenal game when we lost 4-2, I was saying, don't play this guy in a Chelsea shirt again because his head's in Spain.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't care. Anyone can get it. I just want my team to play well.
Henrik Jensen, big up yourself, mate. Do you think Gvardiol will take game time from Colwill? We're going to move on to Josko Gvardiol. Reports again very strong after the Nkunku deal. Looks like we are going to be going in aggressively for Josko Gvardiol. There are several clubs that like him, but apparently Chelsea are in pole position for the young defender. Personally, I think that this guy could be an exceptional talent once he reaches his mid-20s or so, because listen, man, the level of maturity from this guy, he's technical, excellent defender, quick, can play on the wing as well. Sorry, not on the wing. He can play as a left back as well, or left wing back. He's a very, very versatile defender, man. Looks like a top talent. But I've seen this several times. Do you think Gvardiol will take game time from Levi Colwill? I'm interested to see what your answer is on this.
Yes, but that shouldn't really be a concern for us. I always like Chelsea at its prime was survival of the fittest. If you're good enough, you'll play. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
If Colwill isn't better than Gvardiol and we sign him, we're still better off as a result of that. So all respect to him, but it is what it is on that remark. Like, Gvardiol is a great talent. I think all of his deficiencies are just parts of his game that can be coached out. Like, positional awareness and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Everything else is at a very, very high level. And why would we say no to something like that just because we have a youth prospect who could potentially reach that level? But that's only a potential. Like, if Gvardiol comes, let the pair of them compete. Whoever wins out. Like, Thiago Silva's going to be leaving in a year or two anyway. So we need to look at a serious replacement.
That's what I mean. You know, you got Thiago Silva on his way out. Azpilicueta, although obviously he's used more so as a fullback, we have seen him play in the centre back positions in a back five with Conte. Surprisingly, I'm not sure why he didn't stay there, because I thought he was excellent there. And obviously during that time he was going towards his later years. Maybe he could have made the shift back then. But yeah, that's a story for another day. So look, arguably you could say like there is space for both of them in the team. Koulibaly, how old is he right now? He's 31 or something, 31. So, you know, it remains to be seen. To get a Thiago Silva 38, 39-year-old centre-back, it doesn't come around every day. So my expectation of that for Koulibaly is not there. Do you know what I mean? If it is, great. If he's performing at that age, great. Fantastic. But chances are it's not going to happen. There is space for him in this team. There's space for Colwill. There's Fofana. Those are three very young centre-backs that we can have out of the club for the next 10 years. Then you've got Trevor Chalobah. So that's four. That's four centre-backs. What are we crying about?
Exactly. Like, we keep talking about how our depth isn't good enough, but we're not going to bring in Gvardiol because it might limit Colwill's game time. This is the problem. When we don't want to bring in a quality talent because it might devalue a Cobham graduate. If the Cobham graduate is good enough, he'll push him out the squad too. It's as simple as that. Like, look at the likes of Trevor Chalobah. All he's done is just wait for an opportunity. And every single time there's been an opportunity, he has taken it with both hands. That should be the mentality. Yeah. And if he plays with that mentality, I'd have more respect for him too.
Gone about his business quietly, Trevor Chalobah, because remember, even under Tuchel, there was a period where like he wasn't injured and he just wasn't getting picked for the life of him. And a lot of other players would have, leaked out something in the news and said, so I'm unhappy. I want to be playing football. I want to go. We never heard nothing of that. He just had his opportunity, took it, was consistent, earned his new contract. And I haven't seen a single Chelsea fan complain about Trevor Chalobah getting his contract renewed. Absolutely
because
not.
He deserves it. I think he's been our most consistent centre-back this season, even over Thiago Silva. He 100% deserves it. And you know why no one complains about the wages or nothing? Because he plays well. Why do you think, if we go back to Mount, for example, why do you think people are complaining? Because he is not playing well.
Performances. It's not an agenda. It's the performances. 100%.
Exactly.
You're right. You're right. So Ali A says that Josko Gvardiol is a Liverpool fan. Well, here's the thing. Jadon Sancho is a Chelsea fan.
I'm sure. I think Drogba was an Arsenal fan.
That's what I'm saying.
An Arsenal fan.
Like I can name several players that support different clubs. What matters is the fact that we are talking actively with the club. We're negotiating something. We're talking about putting money on the table. As you know, Ali A, forgive my language, money talk, bullshit walks, mate. Yeah, that's what it is. And right now, we're turning up with the money, while Liverpool are not turning up with no money. Nothing's going to happen. And just a heads up, people, from what I've seen, right? I might be wrong here, but from what I've seen, Liverpool look like they might need to sell before they buy. That is obviously with an asterisk if they are not taken over by January or the summer. Do you know what I mean? There is talks of a Liverpool takeover, so we got to see what happens there. But in terms of Gvardiol, bro, I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't mind him at the club, but the main stickler for me is, and this is one of the reasons why I was very much upset with Tuchel. We knew apparently he had the choice of picking the players that he needed. He did not address key positions, in my opinion, which is one of the reasons why we are suffering now. And I struggle to put a lot of the blame on Graham Potter. I feel that, yes, he's been a victim to his own naivety at the top level, but at the same time, he's been a victim to the failures of what happened in the previous transfer window with Thomas Tuchel and with the owner. So I'm willing to give that guy time. But what needs to be done, I don't care about Nkunku. I don't care as much as I want Endrick. I don't care about Endrick. I don't care about Enzo Fernandez and all these guys. Until we sign at least two, not one, just two. Let's learn our lesson from Kante and now what's appearing to be Kovacic as well. Let's not buy a Declan Rice or a CDM, right, and just rely on that one, because now you're going to end up shortening their career like we've done Kante. Yeah, Kovacic is going the same direction. This guy's not going to be playing top level football at 33, 34. Absolutely not. Them ankles are shot to death.
Way too many injuries, and I completely agree with you on the Potter point as well. The midfield, like from what we heard, is meant to be sorted immediately in January. We're going to get at least one in. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to wait till January and see how Chelsea move, because either Chelsea move, it's also going to be whatever Potter asks for, and it will tell us a lot. But I am not going to judge Potter at all until players start coming in, because why am I going to judge Potter for not getting better out of a squad I don't rate? I don't rate this squad at all. I would be very surprised if this squad even made top 6. I don't think we're going to do that this season, or we're even going to come close. We have 2 goalkeepers that we don't trust. We have a defense with no understanding of each other that does need time to get to bed in. And I will give time. I rate the defense. That's the only part of the squad I rate. The midfield, absolute car crash, needs to be ripped apart and start again. The attack, don't even get me started on that group of bums. Rip that up, start again. So why am I meant to have faith in them? Why am I meant to think Potter is just going to come out and suddenly turn them into a top 4 team? He's not. All he's going to do is assess this season. He has been given like the Arteta 2020 role of just your job secure, regardless of whatever happens. I don't care. This season is a giant write-off for me.
You're the first content creator that supports Chelsea that has said that to me, and you have no idea how happy that makes me, because I've been saying this for the longest. You know how much criticism
everyone else is blaming Potter.
Yo, do you know how much criticism? We're Chelsea Football Club. How can you settle for this? This, that, and the other.
This is my problem, bruv. Like, I remember at the start of the season, right? And I didn't even rate this team under Tuchel. I was thinking we weren't making top 4 under Tuchel. Like, I was already done with this squad by then. But people are saying the same thing. How can you expect us to not finish top four over Tottenham or Arsenal? We're better than them. We finished above them last season. Let's completely forget about the fact that we literally tried to hand Arsenal first place on a silver platter, and they
Right.
bottled it so hard they couldn't even get that done. Let's not forget about the fact that Tottenham were on flight mode for 3 months because they had Nuno Santo stinking up the joint every week for them in the dugout. Let's forget about all, and they still finished a point behind us in spite of all of that. And they improved and we didn't. But hey, we're just meant to make top four. No, the team is shit.
It's terrible.
I don't care if they won the Champions League. I don't care if we sort of that Club World Cup badge on our chest. We suck. We're fucking terrible from all aspects. The only thing that saved us last season was that we had the best defense in the world. And then our bozo old regime got rid of 2 of the 3 centre-backs we had for free because they didn't want to give them sign-on clauses. That is their fault. But that's not Potter's fault. That weren't Tuchel's fault either. Tuchel's only fault was that he didn't bring in a creator or midfielder. He has to hold that, and I said he would have held that for the whole season. That's on him. This ain't on Potter. Giving Potter this shower of shite, which, let's be real, Brighton are set up better than we are. And that's because
100%.
Potter got given time with that squad. So let's not act like it's embarrassment that they walked all over us. They are set up better. They have a better team. We have the least cohesive squad in the top 10. We have the most timid, uncreative attack, probably in the top 15. Why do you expect more out of this? Potter needs 2 years. 2 years to build a team in his image, and then maybe if we're still not doing anything, then we'll look at the manager. Until then, I need this shower of shit rebuilt from top to bottom before
100%.
I even look at the manager.
100%. And I echo literally everything you've said. I said whether it's Tuchel, whether it's Pep Guardiola, whether you want to bring back Sir Alex Ferguson, whether you want to bring Origo Saki, I don't care who you want to bring to this club. It is not happening. It's an impossible task. And this comment here, Jason Lee Heng, you big up yourself, bro. Yeah. We scraped top 4 since 2017 because Spurs and Arsenal have been terrible. It's been
Not even
coming.
just them. Let's go on a year-by-year basis. 18-19 under Maurizio Sarri. Everybody around us was losing in April. Spurs were on flight mode till the Champions League final. Arsenal and United were just bottle jobs, losing left, right, and centre. And we drew our way to 3rd place. We didn't even win or look consistent or quality in half of those games. 19-20, we got through because COVID popped up out of nowhere when we had 9 players out injured and Manchester United were catching up behind us. And even then, we only made it through by a point. 2021, literally saved by a Kasper Schmeichel own goal and a Gareth Bale double from finishing 5th. And if we finished 5th, the Champions League win would have saved us. Then we go on to the next season. Spurs, flight mode under Nuno. Arsenal, major bottle jobs. This team has been crap for way, way, way too long. That's an unbelievable comment.
No, that's a big fact, and that's a very good observation as well, Jason. Just before we go, I am gonna come up with a name that I didn't plan on talking about, but this guy here, Diogo Costa, right? For Porto, I hear that he's a supreme goalkeeper, like exceptional with the ball at his feet. I've seen several clips, some of the assists that he's made. My goodness me, looks like a very good talent. Not surprised. Edison came from there as well. They seem to make complete footballers of goalkeepers over there in Benfica. Not sure what their secret is over there. Has to be said, by the way, Benfica are one of the most consistent conveyor belts in creating top quality players, and has been since I can remember. I'm even before like Simao and them, man. Do you remember Simao and them?
Yeah, I recall the name.
Yeah, like bro, these guys have been like that Portuguese league. So when people tell me, oh, that Portuguese league is a farmers league, nah, you find some gems in there, man. 100%. But yeah, Diogo Costa, we've been linked with him. Apparently, we have open talks with his representatives. Now, before we get excited and ahead of ourselves, Manchester United apparently are ahead of us in the pecking order. And I believe as well, Barcelona are said to be interested, but the way things are going,
no chance. Them broke boys, they ain't touching him.
For them, no chance. But he hasn't had the greatest World Cup tournament so far. I don't want to be too knee-jerk and say that that's a true indication of where this guy is. You know, players have bad days, players have good days. He's also very young, considering he's a goalkeeper as well. He's got years to mature in that position. Would you be happy with him at the club?
Definitely. I'd bring him in immediately. I think he fits Graham Potter's style of play perfectly. He always prefers goalkeepers that play with the ball to his feet. You could see that how he instantly started leaning more towards Kepa over Mendy as soon as he came in. That's the sort of goalkeeper that he's looking for. And I get everyone doesn't like the fact that he's around the 70, 75 million mark. You're just getting Kepa PTSD all over. And I understand that. I totally understand that. My thing with him, though, is just off watching him, the distribution is nutty, man.
It's ridiculous.
It's so crazy, bruv. And like, I get it. He's already young. He's a prospect, and he has so much further to go already. But he's taking Porto literally to the very top. Like, from what I was reading when I was researching on him, that Porto defense was an utter mess last season, and Diogo Costa single-handedly took that to a domestic double, maybe a treble. I don't know too much on that, but he took a very iffy defense to the title, literally. He's a quality goalkeeper, and for 75 million, like, I guess a lot, but I'd pay it.
In this market, is it though? Is 70 million in 2022/23 season a lot of money?
I mean, look what we've spent it on. Like, I don't even. It might not be at this point. The way we look like we're free spending and we're willing to throw any money at any player.
This
so
is what I'm saying. Because look, we got to put things in relation. I'm hearing, Manchester United fans are saying Anthony is worth that 100 million. Do you know what I mean?
Here's the thing. Diogo Costa, if he came in and he balled out, which from everything that we're looking at, he is going to ball out when he's at Chelsea, no one is going to care about the price tag. The same thing would have been for the likes of Kepa, Havertz, any of the flops that we've had for massive price tags. If they balled out consistently, we wouldn't care. And I think Diogo Costa is one of those goalkeepers that would be a brilliant long-term investment for us. With his age, with the development that he still needs to do as well, he'd be someone that you lock in for a 7-year deal as well.
Yeah, 100%.
But he looks good enough. And he's tall enough as well. He's around 6'4", 6'5", so you don't have the same Kepa worry about him being too small to reach the top corners or anything like that, or shots at his far post. He's confident. He's got good distribution. There is enough. As a goalkeeper, he is as well-rounded as you're looking for.
No, 100%, man. I'm very much a fan of his. Dexter here says, would rather not pay near world record fees for a goalkeeper again. There are much more urgent positions to address. 100%. I mean, again,
I don't agree. I think goalkeeper is very underestimated. Like, look how shook the squad looks anytime Mendy is in.
He's on the ball. Yeah.
Every time.
That's what I will say.
Kepa's kicking ain't as good as people make it out to be. It's just better than Mendy's. It's not great.
This is what I was literally about to say. Look, I still think in terms of priorities, I still do think the CDM position for me, or / number 6, whatever you want to call it, is the number one priority for me. Not one, just two. But I can see that goalkeeper situation, right? If we had other areas in this team sorted, that would be an urgent position to fix. Because quite rightly, like you said, even outside of Mendy on the ball, is once his confidence is shot to pieces, the mistakes start creeping in. The near post starts creeping in. The erraticness of him starts creeping in. Holding on to that ball for too long starts creeping in, right? And we don't need that, because we had that with Kepa, a keeper who, has had howlers, shockers, but to me, he's a keeper that depends very much so on confidence. I think having two keepers of that sort of mentality is very, very dangerous to have in the team. Very
big
dangerous.
Facts. And you've got to take one deeper thing into this. We have a very, very complicated position with both of our goalkeepers. And if we're looking at bringing in another goalkeeper, you have to accept that they're going to come in at a bare minimum on the same wage that Kepa is on, because we're trying to get rid of both of them, and we simply cannot get rid of Kepa. We put a £30 million price tag on Kepa in the summer. Nobody came in. except for Napoli, and they just couldn't negotiate because of his wages. Mendy has a big contract situation with Chelsea because he's demanding Kepa's wages, and he's playing even worse than Kepa is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
deep that whatever goalkeeper we're bringing in has to be on a minimum of 150k a week. So if you're going to do that, at least bring in a quality goalkeeper, which is why I'm looking at the likes of Diogo Costa, and I'm saying, fine. I know he's going to be a quality goalkeeper. I know in a year or two's time, he should be one of the best goalkeepers in the world if he isn't already right now. So I wouldn't really mind bringing in a Diogo Costa because I know he's going to do his job and he's going to do his job consistently. So that's the bigger issue that people aren't looking at.
Big facts, big facts. Chelsea should to go for Mike Maignan. That's going to be a lot more expensive than
It's
Diogo
unrealistic.
Costa, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. I think he's a great goalkeeper, 100%. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. I'd take him at Chelsea, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. But yeah, the targets, Diogo Costa with open talks with representatives, Robert Sanchez, as we know. I'm not quite sure how to feel about that one, to tell you the truth. He's not terrible with the ball at his feet. Just all round, I have my reservations. I heard we're looking at Kobel as well of Borussia Dortmund, but the problem with that is the fact that Borussia Dortmund, they don't like to sell too many players. If one of their top players is going, they're not going to sell the other one. Basically meaning Jude Bellingham, if he gets sold, which is looking likely, they're not going to sell anybody else. But Kobel, he looks like a top level goalkeeper, man. The potential, that Dortmund goalkeeper.
I have to do my research on him.
Do not sleep on that guy. Kobel looks like a very serious keeper. He's very young as well. So whoever ends up getting him, you got a goalkeeper on your hands there as well. But yeah, Lewis, I know I said I'll keep you for 45 minutes. We are approaching the hour mark, man. I'm not trying.
Hey, it's been a good stream. I don't even mind, man.
For real, it was just a good talk. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why I carried on, because it just flowed proper. And it's also nice to talk about Chelsea again. It's nice to actually have the YouTube algorithm coming back to me a bit more slowly, because, bruv, before today,
fucking long this World Cup, man.
Yeah, it's been a struggle. It's been an absolute struggle. This is what you see how people are smart. When I'm about to end up the show, they start throwing in the super chat to that. Yeah, big up yourself, KC. They get us a DM and they creative midfielder, then build the attack. This will take 2 windows. Will it though? We have players from 4 managers ago. Fact, Jollof, handshake, Doro what?
Doro what? Man, made me hungry with that one. Still, it will take 2 windows though. 2 summer windows. 2 summer windows.
Yeah, I mean,
that one.
You
got to take into account the rebuild. Like Jorginho and Kante are both likely gone in the summer. They're both waiting until January to assess their options. 2 midfielders, maybe 3 have to come in. Then you look at the attack. Ziyech wants to leave. Havertz just could leave personally. Aubameyang probably isn't staying. We have to rebuild that. Goalkeepers, at least 1 has to come in. Defense, what's happening with Thiago Silva? And we need wing-back depth on the right-hand side, maybe on the left-hand side, because I don't know what's going to happen with Chilwell or Cucurella, because one of them's going to have to take that spot and the other's going to be too good to sit on the bench.
Bro, so I'm hearing again, pinch of salt stuff, but I'm hearing Chilwell is under a very close microscope because of the previous injury that he's had, and also this one as well. So
I get that personally.
Yeah, and this is another thing that we haven't taken into account. People that are saying, why are we signing Gvardiol? He can play there, and he can play there very well. Think back to Euro 2020. Yeah. He was even younger than he is now. The brother was putting in mature, solid performances. And he did play left back there as well for Croatia. So like I said, don't sleep on that, brother, 100%. So yeah, I can see them 2 potentially being the option. On that right side, apparently we're looking at Malo Gusto as well, of Lyon. We're still interested in Kyle Walker-Peters. The Tino Livramento situation as well is interesting. Obviously, he's had the ligament injury. He hasn't come back from that. But Chelsea do have a buyback in 2023 summer. I believe it's like 40 million or something to buy him back.
Watch him after the injury, because it'd be way too early to judge. He's going to need a lot of time to come back. It's the same issue as Ben Chilwell. because Chilwell hasn't been great this season, but it's been, again, because he's coming back from the injury. It has an impact on the trust in his body, on his in-game management, his decision-making, and all of that's just dropped off this season.
Yeah.
So he's going to need time to come back as well. I don't know about bringing him in, but I guess if it's depth, it's not that bad of an issue because you're not relying on him as much.
Exactly. Ian Maatson, I don't see him having a future at the club, unfortunately for him. And Grimaldo as well. Going forward, he can be brilliant, but defensively, I would be shitting myself in the Premier League having him there. So a no to both of them. That right side definitely needs to be addressed as well, bro. That's another key position that needs to be addressed. But people, thank you very much for jumping on the stream. I need you lot to do me a massive favor. Smash that like button. Get us even further up on that algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Leave your thoughts down there in the comments. If you are watching after the live is done, hit the notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. Also, follow the TikTok as well down there in the description. I know it's a lot of instructions, people, but I trust that you can process all of it. Lewis, you already know this, brother. I don't need to tell you where to find him. If you don't know where to find him, his name is down there in the description. What have you already got up on your channel, Lewis, or what have you got coming up tomorrow so the people can be ready for it?
We're doing a Germany watch along, Germany/Spain, just that whole group at around 6. Going early so we can do some transfer content as well. So check that out, guys. Chelsea Fan TV, we just always have content popping out there, so just check that out. And yeah, Chelsea will be back soon, so streams will be a lot less depressing until then. Big up everybody, facts. Like, subscribe, and yeah, big up everybody who's been locked in.
Facts as well. Also, people, make sure you subscribe to Flawless. You get me? Sarcasm.
Every time.
Get me? We've got to show the
He's going live in half an hour, by the way.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even know that. If I had known that, well, I do know now. People, I've still got 166 people in the building. Do Guni a massive favor. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tune into the live and spam the chat with bold emojis, yeah? Bold lives matter and all that kind of stuff. Get me, people? But listen, man, big up everybody. Once again, thank you for joining wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Make sure you stay safe. Up the Chelsea. Come on, England. You get me?